What's up, everybody? We are here with Great Lakes Hot Takes Episode 4. I am your host, KJez, and I am joined today with my constant co-host, Lunges. How you doing, Lunges?
I'm doing fantastic. I think it was a good weekend to watch Smash, and it was particularly a good weekend to watch Midwest Smash, which, to kind of jump right into it, I guess. With us today, since, I don't pay attention to anything outside the Great Lakes, we figured that with an event like SmashCon, one of the largest Smash tournaments in history, we should be bringing on a someone a bit more knowledgeable on the folks out west over in the Heartland. So, without further ado, we have Booker here with us today. Booker, Chase, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm pumped to be able to highlight some of the Heartland talent.
Absolutely. So, I know we've been talking for what seems like forever at this point, just messaging each other and seeing each other at events and whatnot. But for a lot of the folks that are listening here today, uh, tell us a little bit about yourself, just because you're kind of like the goat out there out west. But yeah, take it away.
I appreciate that. You're too kind. It's yeah, so I've been in the community for the better part of 8 years now. Which is weird to think about. I'm now one of the Smash boomers, which is awful. There was this 23, 24-year-olds that were in the scene when I joined. Then they were like the old guys, and I've just kind of taken up the mantle. I started Smash is really like my big foray into esports in general, at least where I got my cut my teeth on it. So I started a high school club that eventually transitioned into a nonprofit that was running events through our comic book shop, a local one, but in Macomb, Illinois, which I think we've put that town more onto the map than anything else has ever.
The most notable thing to come out of Macomb, Illinois. Dang, that's a
I
big
know.
claim.
Yeah, I know. Macomb, Illinois, you gotta be. We're the best of the Macombs, by the way. Macomb, Michigan can fight me. Um, I've won that money match a couple times now. Um, yeah, I mean, middle of nowhere. Can I swear on here? Is that like good?
Yeah, that's
Bad?
fine.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
fine.
care.
Bumfuck middle of nowhere. And we went from like we put on very small locals. We eventually when ultimate drop like you kind of get your big uptick, but we end up we're getting like 30 people for locals for a bit. That's crazy for a small town. And then last big event that I ran there, I got over 100 people from out of town and stuff. That was exciting. So that's how I got into the community, and since then I've been involved with most. I've at least had a hand in or have attended every, I guess not big house, most big events in the Midwest. So I've assisted. I've been there since the original Smash Out. So my team's been helping out with that. Choose fantastic. I worked for Rickles for a long time with Hit Point. I've worked with Unrivaled, UGS. I love the UGS guys. Those guys are fantastic. So definitely good ties with Chicago. Um, I've been in Kentucky, been to Wisconsin, Michigan, all over the place. I founded the Great River Valley. I say founded. I coined the term and kind of connected people. So the GRV is kind of in between St. Louis and Chicago, so it's kind of like Western
Okay.
Central Illinois. Previously, there was like a lot of like smaller regions, like everybody like had their small town stuff. So, like Bloomington Normal, you guys, that's probably a familiar one. Champaign, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa. So like these smaller communities, but they didn't have a lot of interconnectivity with these bigger scenes. So it's really hard when you're trying to like get your names out there to travel 3.5 hours to go to Chicago for locals, because that's the only like ranking that matters, right? So we just created
Mm-hmm.
our own. We said fuck it, like whatever. And so own region there. Shout out to the GRV boys. You guys are awesome. So I'm no longer there though. I've actually recently moved here in the past 3 months, and now in KC. Which is now the new mecca of Heartland, I have to say, which is funny because previously this is a really big point of contention. It used to be, which was this like the St. Louis question. Like it used to be that Heartland really didn't have any giant events like Heartland Showdown. I think like Heartland Scramble, like they're at events back then. The zoos are even only really popping up now. Um, so St. Louis is like the really only place that had events, and they only had like a yearly event. But since quarantine has ended and now we're post quarantine Smash, Casey's really just become like this huge spot, and so I've helped out with campaign and justice here, the fantastic TOs, and I help them run the Level Up Arena series, and now we have just all the TOs here. Like, there's some really good TOs in the Heartland, and a lot of them are really concentrated around this space right now. So we're hoping to put on some really cool stuff in the future. But yeah, I've had a hand in production side of things. I've had a hand in the TOing side of things, but I specialize in floor TOing for events. And that's kind of like my background. It's been a lot.
Yeah, I think you have a lot more accolades than me and Lunges combined, probably. Very impressive, very cool.
Yeah, I had no idea you like coined the term like GRV because I've heard of that for like a long time, right? Yeah, I had no idea that you were like pretty much the guy to kind of like put all that together. So that's it's pretty neat.
Technically speaking, and this one I will claim this one. The Midwest Top 50 rankings, the original iteration of that one. So that used to be tried to get done by E2C way back in the day. And E2C, like all the old heads will know that. They're not really around anymore. But their original ranking was kind of a little bit of a flop. I think that it's just really hard to coordinate so many people, right? And like put rankings on. And so
Yep.
when we were trying to do the Midwest Top 50 back for the first season of Ultimate, we decided on like a split. And Heartland like always considered itself Heartland, but like the Great Lakes area never really had like a name, and so there was never really a distinction for the Midwest. Midwest was always just Midwest, and so I do claim the fact that I was the one that pushed for cutting it into two specific regions. So that's like more of like people like talk about that now, but back in the day, nobody really had any other big signifiers for what a region or like a sub-region is. Really just a sub-region. Midwest is huge, so it's really hard to be it, but I do claim that as well. So
Gotcha. So what we've done here essentially is found the guy that's done everything in the shadows, and we've brought him to the light. If you have any complaints about how like the Midwest rankings are done, you can point to Booker here, and he probably had a hand in it.
Yeah, Midwest Illuminati, right? That's what it is.
Yeah,
I jest.
We found one of you.
I can't believe you're the one that split the union. I had no idea it was up to one person and it was you.
It was a group. It was a group. I suggested it. I suggested I push it in. You can all the old heads had like a say in it, or it was on that as well. I think like at some point, oh god, JDB or JBC and Cool Catchers from Kentucky and everybody was on it. I loved the top 50 rankings. It's a little bit harder these days to do stuff like that. I think with so many moving pieces. But I hope to see the return of that at some point.
Absolutely.
Cool. Just to remind people, we do have we have a section where we accept callers' takes. So if you do have a take, go ahead and join the Discord, which I just posted the link to. And then you'll see a takes channel where you can type up whatever you want to say. And then if we like it, we will bring you on the show and tell you why you're wrong. And the focus of the show today is going to be all about Super Smash Con. Obviously, if you've got something else you think is interesting, we might still bring you on. But with the gigantic event that happened over the weekend, we figured we'd devote the show to be able to specifically talk about that. So, Booker, I know you took a lot of notes to prepare for this. Do you want to? How did you feel about the event overall?
Like starting it? Oh gosh,
yeah, we'll let you talk.
I mean, the fourth largest Smash Ultimate tournament in history. I think outside of online events, because the quarantine series was pretty large.
Yeah.
Well, there's just so much to say, so many storylines. I think coming from like as your Heartland correspondence right now, Heartland did, I would say, overall pretty well. There was only a handful of players that really went out there. I was talking before we went live. It's rough to try to get people to go to a lot of these bigger tournaments. So far out east from the Heartland specifically, Midwest historically a poorer region, right? That's always how it's been. And so there's been a lot less travel. But recently, after like post quarantine, has been a bigger push for like these Heartland personalities to like get out to these events and go to them. And a few key people that are pushing them. For those of you guys that don't know, most top players, like big regional hitters, a lot of them are really young. I know you don't know this. So it's hard for them to get to events, and so it's coordinated by community leaders.
Oh, well, I
So
mean,
if
we
you're,
definitely know that.
I know.
Onan, like, Lunges is like Onan's driver. Like,
Yeah.
if that's why Lunges is at most events, is to make sure that Onan can win the bracket there.
I'm the second dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just gotta force them. What I got hired out to do commentary for Invincible 6. I think it's the 6th one. And we're just like, hey Justin, we're gonna throw you into the car. So I got Justin 22 to go up there. That's like the only reason he went is because we already were going. Well, that's just kind of how it happens. And so with these younger guys, like people have talked about like Tony Z Tank for a while, right? Tony's young. He is a very young player.
Yeah.
And people just it's really hard for people to get out to events consistently, especially with like the school year starting right now. And then two, with like parents to even let their kids go out at a more consistent time anyway. So that's
yeah, and that's just like such a weird dynamic within the scene too, is that a lot of the people that are grinding the game the most are younger because they just have, they're not employed, so they have a lot more time on their hands to grind the game, but then they have no means of actually getting to events, without like a support system. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic and creates a lot of runs like what we saw at SmashCon with some younger talent popping off.
Yeah, and then, I tell, like, Anthony, who's one of the other really talented players in our region, I'm like, yeah, I can drive you to this tourney, and then his mom is like, no, you can't drive him to this tourney.
Shoutouts to supportive parents. I say this all the time on Twitter. Supportive parents are the bread and butter. They're like the glue that holds together any esports community, because without them, that just doesn't happen. I was coaching for a while, and seeing parents not be supportive of their kids' passion, just like, it is crushing to see that. So shout out to you guys. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ethan Foe. You familiar with Ethan
Yes,
Foe?
yeah.
Yeah, he's my boy. I love Ethan Foe. He came to the first Smash tournament that he ever went to was mine. One of the monthlies that I hosted in Macomb, Illinois, by the way. Shout outs. There you go. There it runs back. But his parents, amazing. They're absolutely very amazingly supportive. Like they traded off who went with him to tournaments sometimes. So they just kind of like sit there and chill the whole time. You kind of know. I'm sure you have a similar young prodigy in your space that is always having their supportive parent.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always good to see. Oh, Grandshad, of course, the OG supportive parent. But I could get talking about some Heartland stats here. Do you want me to go into Heartland for SmashCon?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
sure.
do it.
Go ahead.
All right, let me unblur my camera. Here.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
Booker has a
I have a
whiteboard with some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, you might have to bring it a little closer.
It's okay. Maybe does it show up? I gotta move this top one.
You might need to like tilt
right,
it. Yeah,
just right in the bottom corner there. I think
Right here.
fine. Yeah, and that's in
All
this.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is what I like to see. Is this does this show up? Can you see my handwriting? Is that good?
Expected. Yes, I can read
Perfect.
that. Yes.
Sweet. So I have 3 categories here to you guys to kind of talk about with Heartland. There's a handful of top players that went, but really only representing 5 states. So Heartland is made up of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. So that is, I got everybody, right? Is that 7? Yes, I got everybody. I think I got everybody. There's gonna be a whole state
It's
of people
your
just
region.
pissed
I
off.
don't know. If you left somebody off, I don't know.
Oh God, I hope not. So expected results. So this is kind of like the scenes that we expected to, like, they just performed to par. Nothing too outrageous. This isn't necessarily like a bad thing. I mean, ultimately performing to what you're expected at an event like SmashCon, again, the 4th largest Smash Ultimate tournament in history, is crazy. So I got the first one up here, North Dakota. Don't know if you guys knew North Dakota was there.
Oh yeah,
They were.
Eric is there, right?
Yes, Eric, the boy. He is good. He is a really solid player. Some people talk about me Sword Fighter when it comes to like matchup checking, and I don't disagree. There's a lot of matchups though in this game that do matchup checking. But Eric is the best me Sword Fighter in the world. And I'm now on record saying that he is the best one out there. And he's really been looking for like a big win. He was seeded 247th at this event, which again, being in top 300 out of X amount of players, I don't know how many were there. It was a lot. It was over.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically.
Almost 2,400. It was like 23 and change.
2388. Yeah. I see it. I have it right here. So being seated even top like 250 at that event, insanity, right? That's like very solid players. So he was there was definitely expectations with him. He got 193rd, losing to Tweak one. Tweaks. I heard he was good. He's a good player, I think.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple people have said that. He also lost to Keen from Chile. So I mean, I don't know all the characters that are being used against it. When you were looking at his play from the event, though, it seems pretty on par what you're expecting from a player like Eric. Very, he's able to go toe to toe with a lot of people. But ultimately, and this kind of runs into a problem with a lot of players in, I think Midwest. Midwest has always had this problem where we ourselves don't travel enough, and so we don't get that experience. So I think Eric's on a point in his career right now where he's like really grinding. He's trying to go to these events. Eric is showing up to Smash Con not to necessarily win, but he's there to get better, certainly. So I'm hoping that he grinded a bunch of money matches to try to get these to try to get a bit more matchup experience. But his previous like 25th at Combo Breaker, like we kind of see him pushing himself out there a bit. It's just so hard from getting from North Dakota to places. It's just rough. I mean, this is the reason that you don't see a lot of Oregon players either, right? Montana players don't go traveling all the time because it's expensive too. So it's shout outs to 605 supporting their boys. We love to see some Midwest sponsors actually pushing our talent out there. Secondly, on the expected, because I have this on here, so that was like the one North Dakota rep. If there was some other like lower level North Dakota players out there, I do apologize. I didn't think I saw any, but
that's okay. We probably don't have enough time to cover every player from every region anyway.
It's okay. I got you. Yeah. One of the weird ones, which we don't normally expect to do as expected, is Nebraska. So that those of you that don't know, Nebraska is really good. Way better than most states, unfortunately, and people are not aware of that. Tony Z Tank, Skittles, Zen, they got Quaz out there. They got a bunch of killers, but it was really just Skittles out at this event, along with Zen. So Zen, I'll kind of talk about him first. Pikachu, Nebraska, pretty solid player. He's in a similar spot with Eric, where he's trying to get his footing. He's trying to go to a lot more majors. And I think that he did pretty on par with what he was looking at. 145th seed, placed 129th, kind of the same thing. No real wins. I mean, he won on Jules, but like from Virginia, but better than I could do, to be fair. But he was kind of a victim of Mutace. So Zen, a pretty okay player. I'm hoping to see some more out of Zen. But Skittles, this is the big one. This is the one that we were all kind of waiting for. It was unconvincing. Skittles has had a very quiet back end of the year. If you look at the amount of tournaments that he's been competing in, and I can't speak onto all of the challenge brackets because some people like to run their tournaments on challenge, but he has been to significantly fewer events than he was previously. He's been like, it's not necessarily a hiatus because you don't get top 50 in the world by being on a hiatus, right? But he's been very inconsistent, I would say, with his highest placements, right? We're not seeing his like big wins. Like he was winning LUA previously, but now he's getting like his 17th is Warp Zone was like that's definitely more of a mark against him. He did win Invincible. Don't get me wrong. Like he's still good. But I think that like because he's taking more of time off, we're not seeing as these highs from him. Like his 33rd Momocon was also really good, but we forgot about his like 17th Genesis. That was his big one. He beating Atelier. I'm really bad at pronouncing. I think it was Atelier.
I'm gonna say yes because I don't know how to say it either.
Yeah, the Pokemon trainer, really good. So he does do significantly well, and I think that this one, I want to write off this bracket because his 97th place at SmashCon is more of like kind of like a blip, right? I don't think this is like marking of any more significant of a trend. So really, this is what happens when you take a little bit of time off, right? The meta moves very fast right now. But he's able to get a couple wins. Average Alex, Danby. You guys know Danby? Danby's pretty good player. Right? Texas now, but was Texas. Arkansas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's the he I don't know if he played Kirby, but funnily enough, Skittles was a victim of potentially a matchup check. I don't know. Why did really well at this event.
Why did he do so well?
I don't know what it is.
Steve.
Yeah, he was taking some names.
Was he on Steve? I couldn't find out who he was playing. He was on Steve. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah.
That's why. There you go. Steve's getting wins. Waidu took down Skittles. That was probably a pretty big. No one was really expecting that one, I would say, and then Fawn as well. But yeah, so it's gonna lack. He was 51 seed, so like this is a little bit of lackluster what we were expecting. Getting outside of top 64 is not what we're looking at for Skittles, but I would say overall Nebraska did like kind of as expected. It's a little bit lower than what we really want to see out of them, but overall okay. Um, the losers, I can talk about the losers here. So this is actually there's only one, and that is KC. I do suffer here,
All
and
right,
that
you
is.
might be a little too far over on the board.
Oh, can you not see it? Here, I'll move it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
move
okay.
it. There you go.
Oh, there
Losers,
we go.
KC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
there you go.
So KT unfortunately did a little bit lackluster. One big player there, to be fair, we're kind of like putting an entire state's worth of how well you did off of one player, but it's Rocky. Rocky has been pretty on fire. He's been having a rise these past few months, and so I think this is a weird placement for him. He hasn't performed this poorly, I would say, placement wise, compared to where he's seated since Frostbite 2020. It's been 2 years since a placement like this because he got 193rd when he was a top 60 seed. Um, so it could be you get thrown up to a ton of factors of why a player does poorly from expected. He did lose to State and Super FNAF Fan 420. That a little
I'm
bit of a
sorry.
sting, a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. I'm sorry. Sometimes you just you could be like deeply focused, and like trying to like figure out a bracket, and then someone comes across with the Super FNAF Kid 420 tag.
I know.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens. We all lose to people with weird names. But overall, he's been having a pretty good season. 17th at Double Down. He got a win on Louis Money and Sky J and Send.
Dang, those are huge wins.
I know, no,
For
it's
sure.
huge. Look, Rocky is a really good player. And then Genesis 8, it was like his 97th. And so like this is really low for him. I wouldn't necessarily say this is going to be like how he's playing ever, from here on out, but it is a pretty rough showing. Now, moving on to winners. I got two. And ones we all want to see. I'll go with the one that we're not expecting as much. Another state came out of nowhere, Minnesota. Um, if you guys have been following Minnesota at all, everybody knows the name 34 now, and 34 is pretty good.
Yep.
I kind of want to go over a little bit of his stuff. So he was a 96th seed. So he was all these players that I've been listing up until this point have really been rated
Just
higher.
so you know, 34 does they them pronouns.
Yes. It's. Oh, I thought they used both. They might use. Okay, my bad.
No
Yes.
problem. No problem.
I did this at Invincible commentary too, so thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so 34, 96 seed, placed 33rd, and I would say this is probably the breakout event for 34. There's other ones that you can really like. They could put their laurels on.
Yeah, I
Invincible
mean,
too,
they
yeah.
looked crazy at Invincible too. They were
Yes.
so good in that bracket. So I was expecting good things from them, and they did. They delivered for sure.
Yeah, they were they did the ninth at Warp Zone. We were looking at Warp Zone. We're like, okay, Warp Zone's going to be 34th event. Warp Zone was not it. They got ninth, which is really solid. They only lost to Icon and Comet, which is good. And then it's, we're gonna move on to Invincible. Maybe this is their event, and they lost to Cashmere and Skittles. So lost to somebody in region, and then Skittles, right? For second, and then for second, and now finally got the major breakout. 33rd. They beat, who was it? It was Kobe, JW, and Geist. Those are like the big names. Like that's huge, huge wins.
They were on a spree in losers.
Yeah. No, and it took Fatality to finally take them out. But I want to kind of highlight their losses because I know we talk about wins a lot when it comes to players and like what are their highs, but I think consistency is super valuable, and seeing what the type of players that can actually take down a specific player is really cool to look at. So I wanted to go over that really quick. I mentioned Aiken and Comet, right? Very good Midwest killers. Mentioned Casimir and Skittles, but at Double Down, where 34 also attended, Shuton and Riddles, it had to take both of them to eliminate 34, and this time it was Myron and Fatality. So really, only top 50 PGR players for majors. Those are the only people that can take down 34.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's scary. It's all these like 16-year-olds. So that's the first one. We already talked. I know you're going to be mentioning your boy here, Grayson. There's a lot to say about Onan, but
yeah, we'll save Onan for the end.
I know. You'll be talking about all that. But yeah, a lot of these like 16-year-olds. And speaking of which, we're gonna move over to I'm gonna say 16, 17 in case I got their ages wrong. So that's Minnesota. So the state that did the best, I say state, the region, STL, St. Louis. They are the most disgusting region right now, and it's not even close when it comes to Heartland, because like, dude, their top four are so good, and they even like I would even say their top five because like Doman they've been like kind of inactive for this region or for this season, but we've seen what Doman can do. Doman is a terrifying All Lamar player from there, and
You can even say Missouri because Yez was back in the States for this event. And Yez
yeah,
is a Springfield player, right?
yeah,
I
yes,
think.
has been gone for a better part of 2 years, so I don't typically loop him in right now just because he's so naturalized with the Japan scene. But yeah, no,
Sure.
he is very solid. And I think what Bernard said, he was like the best Ike placement period, or like not period because Memke Leo, but like of like recent time.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Well, there's not a lot of Ikes. I mean, there's Yez, and then I think that it's Yez and Raven King, and I think there's a bit of a gap
Well,
in,
I
in
mean,
my knowledge.
even then, Raven King has switched off of the character for the most part. I've only really seen him play Joker the last couple brackets.
That's the high tiers are calling.
Yeah.
I'll say it's the high tiers, man. But STL, dude, the top four there is Apollo Kage, Colorado, Evander, and Luma. Those four all had fantastic runs. They all did better than what they were placed. I think I'm gonna double check. Yeah, they all did better than what they were seeded to do, including AK, which you get to a point where there's now expectations on you as a top player. And we see this happen with top players, where expectations are put on them, and it's really hard to continue to break like the limit of what people kind of put you in, and they start putting you into a box. But AK is one of those players that just we don't know the limits that AK has yet. AK can just keep going up and up. This
Yeah,
could have been
he's
AK's
been on
event.
a steady increase, like incline so far with
Grinding.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. We've seen him at a couple of events. He came out to Stampede 2, and it was very fun getting to watch him play.
Yeah, I don't know what AK does to get so good besides just being goaded. I remember when AK was playing Luigi in bracket, and it really is the high tiers. They do something different to you.
He's been
Yeah, it's
watching a lot
like
of One
weighted
Piece.
training, you know?
Yeah, wait, just threw him down, threw down those weights. Um, but wait, I'm gonna roll back really quick. Evander. So I was talking about the young gunners. Evander, 16, I think around 16. He's really young. For those who don't know, Evander and Colorado are brothers, by the way.
No
I
way.
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, runs
Oh,
in the
okay.
family, I guess. Um, Evander's goaded, and there's a very big argument. So every single STL player has had like their big event. There was Luma when he was taking down Chag at oh god, what event was that? I think it was like Glitch. I think it was Glitch Infinite. I think he took down Chag. You got Colorado. It was like his level up run was able to take down Louis Money, and he even did like very well at some other events there. Apollo Kage, his original run when he beat Esam, um, like they've all had it, and Evander's been the last one that has not been able to get that like that big win, and this was it for him. So 65th, they were able to get 65th here. It replaced 219th. Like that was what they were expected to do with wins on Larry Lur and Abyss. Sorry, Ohio. There's a lot of Ohio that just kind of got beat down for the rest of the Midwest.
Hey, on
See,
this show, we appreciate that. Ohio
the
take the
Ohio
L's.
slander. I love you, Ohio. I swear. They did take a little bit of L, but Evander though, it took Apollo Kage. So this was unfortunate. There was a team kill there because Evander upset Larry Lur, had to immediately go into Apollo Kage, and their set count, from what I found, it's 11-1 post this event,
Oh,
AK's favor, and that's not
dang.
including locals. So it's
Hmm.
kind of it's rough, but probably for somebody that if you're gonna fight anybody at a major, you don't want to fight your buddy because they have a decent chance of taking you out. So I think AK like walked in that being a little bit like, oh man, I do not want to be fighting my own boys. But it took AK and Yez. You were talking about Yez. Evander was unfortunately a victim of the Yez run. It was close though. It almost ended at 3-2. I think it was right after Mutace as well. So almost took him out. But Evander they've been having middling regional performances. I think that they're still trying to find their footing to really like compete. They can compete with these top level players, but they're not like the most consistent at doing so right now. So this was really good for them. I think just getting out of region. 17th of Stampede 2, you were talking about it. 13th of Invincible and 33rd at Warp. So I think that was a little bit of a rough replacement. But yeah, this is definitely a fantastic run for him. Apollo Kage, what is there not to say? He is now like a staple of every conversation when it comes to performances, especially in the Midwest. Um, Wins on what? He took down Evander, he took down Tonex, he beat Sonics, who is the 6th seed of this event, by the way, just like casually. Like that was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
3-0.
No big deal. Yeah.
No big deal. Nothing's impossible for AK. And then Ling. Ling was the other big one. Which is interesting for like head-to-heads because a lot of these players, AK was one of the Wi-Fi warriors that grinded so much during quarantine. So fought these guys, but this is kind of very recently being able to fight them offline. So 1 in 5 now versus Sonics if you count online because he's lost to Sonics every single time they fought online, and now they fought on land and immediately kind of wiped
Oh,
them.
he,
I
he
know.
got the CV on land and he did it.
It's pretty good. It was a very well. I'd say similar thing for Ling. They've Ling and AK have fought online before. AK beat Ling there, beat them offline. It's kind of definitely AK's favorite now.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Apollo Kage had to play that Sonics match off stream, which I mean, Snake Sonic off stream, that's fine with me, but then I saw it was a 3-0 and I was like, dang. I'm sad I
I'm
didn't get to see that now.
I'm telling you, majors have it out for AK. He never gets on stream. The Riptide run, not a single streamed match for his entire run. It was a tragedy.
Yeah, and I mean,
How do you
he's
do it,
got a
Riptide?
He did really well, but
Not to
he,
derail. I just
no,
when I
do
think
it,
of
derail
Riptide,
me.
I don't remember AK being like popping off. But
Let me look it up really quick. We have our
everybody rushing to the Smash data.
it's somewhere here. Riptide. 49th. He did 49th there. He lost to
Wow.
Tweak and Louis Money. No, he
dang,
did very well. But not a single stream match. They have it
wow.
out for him. They don't want to see our boy succeed. They're preying on his downfall. We see you, Smash Illuminati. We know what's going on.
Yeah, he's even got the number next to his name now, so you'd think, Clouded, he would be able to get on stream, but
I don't know.
tough.
I don't know,
Tough.
man. But he took a loss to Zomba. He's 0-4 versus Zomba now. Zomba has his number. When it comes to just there's a lot of bracket demons. Samba's definitely something that he's gonna have to overcome. He does have in region Luma to help with learning the matchup, but I think it's more of a player thing at this point, right? I think it. And then who's the other loss? Regalo. Oh gosh, speaking of victims of fantastic runs, AK was taken down by Regalo, the Lucas who got the best Lucas placement I think ever
Ever?
in Ultimate's history.
Yeah.
So it sucks to see our boy fail or fall to Regulo, but I think overall very good showing from AK. And we wanted to see Regulo do good. So at a point you start rooting for the underdog here. Now AK is now on the top of the stack. He is no longer the underdog. So he's got the X factor away from him now. I don't know. He's still goated. Who else do we got here? Oh, Luma. So Luma's a little bit more quiet when we talk about like top four in St. Louis. I think Luma took a little bit of a break, but 99th seed winning in, got 65th, so pretty good overall. Took down your boy Scotch. Shout outs to Scotch. Michigan taking L's, love to see it. There you go.
Yeah, well, Scotch got a pretty good upset to get there.
I know. That's I saw that.
Yeah.
Who did you take down?
Ralphie.
Yeah, rough.
Man, speaking of old heads.
Yeah, right. Ralphie's actually moving to Michigan too, which would be kind of fun.
Yo, we need more. You had to replace Nico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to replace him. I know you lost your other top player. He was there for like the entirety of quarantine, which just blows.
Yeah. Yeah, it was he was around for I think like 3 of our regionals, and then had to dip.
Yeah, it's sad. It's just the timing of it. Who else? He also took down Luma took down Kiwi, so that was actually a really good win. Kiwi's goated. But yeah, Luma's been trying to hasn't been competing as much. 97th at Double Down, which still like doing that well at majors is still good. I think we've kind of see where the expectations are, and then 17th CEO, 25th a pound, lose, but that's what we kind of got his win on Non and Chag. Luma's one of those people that I think needs to just kind of get their fights with like mental problems when it comes to in bracket. And so finding his footing is definitely a big thing. So him going out to majors is so good. Like I love to see Luma going out to stuff. I think Luma's got a lot of potential if they stick with it. I know Luma's been talking about not trying to play ultimate as much, so that's a little bit. It's that time in the game though. We've hit the late stage, so all these people that have been on the fence about wanting to play are just going to be dipping. So I know you guys are new to this. I remember back in Smash 4 when it happened. So it's just going to happen. The community's going to get a little bit smaller here. Lastly, though, and I think this is the other really important one is Colorado. This is my last guy. I swear, last one to talk about. Colorado won OS ninth seed, which I would almost argue is a little bit low compared to what like we've seen from Colorado's highs.
Mm-hmm.
Placed 49th. Um, was able to beat where is it? Demon and Toast and Grape. So Toast was a pretty good win.
Demon
Um,
too.
I know Demon's not bad. You can't shake a stick at that at all. But this is the thing though. Lost to Sam T Silver, and so Sam T. I know. So got the Midwest team kill. Sam T is
Right.
like 4-0 on Colorado now. For people that do not like, for two players that do not live in the same like town fighting that much at majors. They fought at Riptide. I think, yeah, Colorado got taken down at Warp Zone by Sam T. So Sam T is like the biggest bracket demon for Colorado right now. Mario turns out to be the Inkling killer. Um, yeah, but he lost to Sam T. Silver, who has also consistently outplayed. So it just really is the bracket demon. Um, and then it was MFA's. MFA was just the NorCal Olimar main. Which it sucks to see players like AK and Colorado having issues with the characters that they have in region to grind against. But I think it just goes to show like how different people can play those characters. Even if you grind against Olimar every single week, you're still going to lose to Olimar's. We can't just write it off. But that's my segment on Heartland and how well they did, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. I would say a pretty positive event. St. Louis stocks going up, heavily invest into them. And I'd probably hold on to your KC ones. Those are going to be on the rise soon here. So that's what I got from my neck of the woods. Send it back
Perfect.
to you.
All right. Awesome. Well, KJS, do you let's see here. I think it might be thematically good to end, excuse me, with Onan. Is there anyone like any quick highlights out of your neck of the woods, like the territory that you cover?
Uh, I feel severely unprepared compared to Booker. But like I think like Pitt. I think Icy Mist was there, did pretty good. But I think she. Let me look real quick. I can't remember if she outperformed her seed or not. And
uh,
then
yeah, she
Geist.
placed it. Yeah.
Yeah, she placed her seed. Geist, I think, outperformed his seed by like one spot. Doorstop got to where he was seated. Um, Obviously, like Zenodo, like he did very well. He was like one hit away from beating Wadi to make top 32, so he got 33rd, but that was a pretty intense set. I watched it from somebody's phone stream on Twitter. That was pretty exciting. Love when people do that.
It's
Um,
2022 and we have phone streams still.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, I think those are most of the people in the area that I cover performed as expected. So I don't think I really have anybody to highlight that like had a really big breakout or anything.
Okay. I can cover let's see my territory here. Comet did great in this run. And honestly, Fox is a character that I never exactly expect to do well in massive tournaments like this just because there's so much variety. You could be running into so many Fox is just a volatile character, right? That I think is difficult to play in a major setting. And Comet killed it. Comet got I believe 49 was seeded to place exceeded to place 97th. I think got 49th there. Beat Capitancito and Rivers as well. So definitely good stuff to comment. I think that was the only Wisconsin player that did very well in attendance. Feel kind of bad for Atada over in the Chicago region. Atada, technically, they were like -1 seed performance rating. Like I think they were supposed to place 49th, got 65th. Um, but that's only because they ran into Siski, who got upset like
Mm-hmm.
mega early, and there's tons of upsets all over the place in this
Yeah.
tournament. But I'll just kind of glance over to the big winners here. I mean, Ned did phenomenal. Ned got 9th, I believe, was seeded to get like 25th or
Yep.
something like that. Beat Syrup has been honestly on a big upswing lately for sure. Beat Trey 5, Mr. E, who's back in the States now, Axiom XL, and also beat Elegant, an Elegant that had a lot of momentum after just beating Tweak. So, yeah, Ned definitely had a great run, ended at 9th in this event. And then Sam T. Silver, like you mentioned, Booker, he pulled some pranks on people. Pranked Colorado for the 4th straight time that they've played each other. But also beat Send, who, when we talk about momentum, right? Send just won a Wave Dash like last week, a giant California event. Came over here. I didn't watch the set. I don't think it was streamed, but good stuff to Sam T. He's so good. If you've ever like watched him play,
Yeah,
Said
I
this a
love
lot.
watching Sam T. He's great.
he's one of those players that like I just am so surprised he's not like PGR. You know what I mean? He's so
Well,
fun to watch.
this has been a consistent problem. I'll say we've been seeing a huge uptick. I'm gonna shout out people like Trade War. I'm gonna shout out people like Isahel. Like these guys have been doing a lot of work to get Chicago traveling. If Chicago traveled more in Smash 4, in early Ultimate, we would see significantly more of these players. Right? People don't know Super Dan as much as they should. Super Dan is a
Mhm.
top 50 contender player, and Sam T is just he was living in the fires of this area for so long. And he emerged out of quarantine as probably one of the biggest, like I don't know, competitors in all of the Midwest. Right, Sam T can
Yeah.
beat
Oh
anybody.
yeah,
He's
Yeah.
so good, and I just got
Oh,
to watch him. He's
go ahead.
got a fantastic Mario.
yeah, very good. So
Yeah, we did have we had Raven King on a couple weeks ago. Definitely one of the struggles with Chicago is like at least from my perspective is like why would they travel out of their region when like their locals get like 100 plus sometimes? So it's like why would I drive to this Michigan regional that's got like 92 people at it when like TriPoint will have like the same amount of people?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
Well, it's this. I think it's an approach of like, are you going to be playing in Scylla? Or are you going to be trying to play to be
yeah.
better, right? And I
Yep.
think Chicago, they tend to struggle with matchups. They get matchup checked sometimes. Someone goes up there that they haven't fought against a lot, and does really well. It's a really good place to just get really good at the two tours from Chicago. Like even their O tours, like their O tours, their one tours, or two tours are going to beat most other scenes. We've seen that before. Like they are surprisingly good. Like Teddy's a player out there. He's not a bad player, but he's got to win on Skittles just because was not ready for it. Um, but they just have a lot of killers in that space, and if they just traveled more, we'd be seeing a lot more potential out of them. But we see Ice Snake going out now. We see, like I mentioned, ISO Hell. So I'm hoping we're in a new day and age of the Chicago Smash scene because historically they almost never traveled.
yeah. I'm feeling optimistic. They've been traveling a lot. Um, which on that note, talking about traveling a lot, I think it's a good point to pivot to Onan. I mean, I'll do a quick shout out to Defoe
Who?
because yeah, right, Onan, yeah. I mean, honestly though, if you haven't been watching, I mean, like if you watch Twitter and not like a lot of brackets, then you're probably very surprised to see Onan like doing any kind of results, honestly. I mean, like, because a lot of people, just kind of like watching the discourse, just have no idea who this kid is, which is like fair. I mean, but also it's like I don't know, it's kind of funny too because he just literally won Gommel too. But That aside, I mean, holy cow, Onan definitely had the performance of the weekend, like that, and that's an understatement for sure. I'm still kind of in shock too after everything that happened. I mean, obviously, when he was like 7 seed at Gommel, and I remember talking to him, and it was like we're kind of like, dang, like we think we're both kind of in agreement that they overseeded him for Gommel. They was seeded way too high off the Gila combo breaker, but then he won that, and here he was seeded like 16th, and even then, it's like this event, like you said, like the most stacked event of the year. It's unreal stacked. The fact that you can win Gommel and then have to fight MK Leo like round one of top 16 is crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's very easy looking at it now, being like, of course he was underseeded. But even before, I was like, I don't really understand why he was seated below, I think, like, Jackal and a couple others, where I was like, okay, like, these guys are good, but Onan just won Gommel. I don't understand why he's seated 16th.
It's hard to seed events.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm being like the annoying attendee at my events right now. But it was interesting to see that he still kind of didn't get that bump that I was expecting. But
Yeah.
obviously he proved himself. He just walked out there, shook Leo's hand, shook it again 5 minutes later, and walked off.
10 minutes and 30 seconds, I think it was. Yeah. Which that's definitely something worth mentioning too. 3-0ing MK Leo in 10 minutes is kind of like a fever dream. If you guys somehow are watching this and haven't been following anything, Onan, number one player in Michigan, Steve player, 3-0'd MK Leo in 10 minutes, which was crazy. But watching that, like, Mute Ace did a much better job of like actually pressuring Steve effectively, or pressuring Onan effectively, and like making him make bad decisions.
Yeah, Mute Ace was really the only person that like took Onan off of his game at any point. Like, I mean, Gluttony kind of gave him a little bit of trouble, but like that was it though. Like, Mute Ace definitely was like putting Onan on the ropes, where I don't think anybody else did that at any point in their sets.
Well, like, in the problem too that, like, and I'm obviously not a top player, but I've seen a lot of Onan, like, way too much over the past year, right? Bring him to events and stuff. Like, if you're gonna hop off the Angel platform and just like land Nair on him and like just like try to rush him down super quick, and as soon as their invincibility is gone, if you're like doing something unsafe, you're just gonna start eating up tilts. You know what I mean? And then like
as Michigan TOs, we've watched Onan so much. Like, we'll be sitting in the crowd and just be like, "Oh, he's gonna hit the cart here," and of course, like, the player just walks right into the cart right at that moment.
Right.
And, like, we saw it from a mile away. But obviously, like, I don't know. So, like, he does something different. He's got some juice in him that none of the other Steves have, that lets him beat everybody. Apparently everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of scary at this point. I don't really know what's going to happen next with him. I guess we'll find out. He's going to Rise and Grind this weekend, actually.
You mean he's winning Rise and Grind, right?
Yeah, I mean, MK Leo's going to be there. We're going to see what kind of adaptation he can pull in 1 week, which honestly I would anticipate a lot of adaptation. I think this has happened with MK Leo in the past. He'll like lose a matchup and then never lose that matchup again.
Yep.
So
honestly, it's true.
I tweeted this out like 5 months ago. I was like, Leo's gonna fight a good Steve, get destroyed like most people do when they fight a good Steve for the first time, and they're just getting hit with like shield breaks left and right. They don't know that anvil hits twice. They get hit with the kitchen sink, right? And then like Leo will study matchups like that and then literally like never lose to them again. At least that's like typically what happens. I guess we're gonna see next week at Rise and Grind.
1 week is enough time.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I do want to bring up the amount of tournaments that have just been happening. This is insanity. How many huge events are just popping up over and over and over again. There's just no room to breathe.
It's a dying game.
Yeah, that's such a like just to talk about that really quick. Seeing people on Twitter be like, "Oh my God, Smash Ultimate is dying," and then that contrasted to watching the actual Super Smash Con stream and seeing like a football field of people screaming and cheering at this event, and I'm just like, in what world? Like, I remember being at like Super or at Smash and Splash, the like last one before they stopped, and watching like top 8, and no offense or anything, but people were watching like Snake versus Olimar, and there was like half of the venue was empty because they were just like, whatever, like Ally is gonna win this or whatever. And then like I'm watching this and people are like, "Oh, Steve is killing the game," but people are going insane watching it. So like what, like people on Twitter is like a disconnect from people that are actually at tournaments, it feels like.
Well, that's always been the case, right?
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
people who don't play the game have the loudest opinions on stage lists and characters and everything. I don't know. Like I said beforehand, as somebody who's come from or like been in the scene long enough, like I've seen downticks in player counts, from like
Mhm.
Smash 4. It When there's no new news, people take that as this is a bad thing, like this is a downtick in people actually coming out to the event. Like, sure, there's not going to be any balance change and stuff like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't big changes. I would almost say that this is too much events, like it's oversaturated with
Yeah, I
majors.
kind of feel that too.
Yeah. And it's gonna be resulting in kind of a backlash. People will not be traveling a lot this winter, I would say, in comparison to what they were beforehand. And I think any event that grabs that early January, February, March slots, those ones are going to be having another uptick back in as people have a little bit of a break to travel and don't have to deal with finals for a little bit. But summer's always like that though. There's always an event every single weekend. It's the summer of Smash constantly. Um, we do need a little bit of a break. I think that would be good, especially for players to just like chill out. People have tried this for a long time to get designated down periods. I don't know if you guys have seen that. They try to be like, yeah, let's section off like a month where nobody's running any events, but that's just never gonna fly.
Yeah, I know from watching like Mango streams, he's talked about that where like he just like there's just sort of like this unwritten agreement with the Mango or with the Melee players where they're like the big like couple players will just not go to tournaments for a little bit so nobody feels pressured to go to tournaments for a little bit. And then
Yeah,
like they'll kick back off with Genesis and then start going again. So there'll be like a dip between the big house and Genesis. Um just to
I think
make
it's
sure that
healthier.
people have some time to breathe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lunges, did you have to get out of here?
Yeah, I can. I can like be 2 minutes later or something. It's okay.
You don't want to miss the last couple minutes of conversation.
we're gonna miss you,
Yeah,
lunges.
Yeah. Well, I guess yeah. As we're kind of like wrapping up, like honestly, I don't know. Like the whole Steve conversation, a lot of it is it's like let's just kind of just. I hate to say this too because this is like exactly like people will use this as like evidence that there's something like that we're doing something wrong. But like I'm always of the opinion like at least like right now let's just wait and see, right? Like if we're worried about like Steve becoming the next Bayonetta and stuff like that, the problem is it's like very difficult to like take uh like productive action on that like because people are like, well, let's just like ban Steve because before he becomes like the next Bayonetta, and it's like, well, okay, like unless you're like from like Back to the Future or something, unless you just like crawled out of like a DeLorean from the future, like how do you know what the counterplay meta is even going to emerge like? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just gets really tricky to like consistently approach problems like that. Like you could look at like what Bernard's loop is saying as far as like meta centralization at a top level. You know, like how many people are actually like using Steve? Because if you'll see in like some fighting games where like 7 out of top 8 will be using the same character. You know what I mean? Or I think what was it like there's some fighting game that recently like over a third.
DBFC.
What was it?
It was DBFC with the lab coat.
Yeah, yeah, and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's like unhealthy centralization. You not liking an obscure character's kit in a game with 80 matchups, like that isn't necessarily like meta centralization, and it exists on multiple levels too, right? Like back in Smash 4, like Cloud and Bayonetta were like centralized at a mid level, like not even I mean, they were centralized at a top level, but like even at like a mid level, like they were everywhere at events, in like at locals and regionals, and like they were very polarizing too, much like Steve is. So I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to consider, yeah, but I don't know. I don't really find any productive like arguments being shouted on Twitter, which is probably because I'm looking in the wrong place. But
Booker, what is your opinion on this as the Midwest Illuminati representative here? Your take might matter more than the rest of us.
yeah, when's Steve gonna get banned? I'll just ask you.
Yeah. All right. So the canary in the coal mine I always see is like the old heads. Back in Smash 4, the old head said that Bayonetta and Cloud are going to be. It's really Bayonetta was like similar to Meta Knight. It wasn't really taken seriously. I mean, at a point, too many people are playing it to be able to issue a ban anyway. They tried that with Brawl.
Yep.
Once Meta got to a point, they tried to ban him. You just don't get people to come out to your events.
Yeah, that's what Zenodo said, that like they couldn't. I remember talking to him about it. They couldn't get like a ban on Meta Knight because like so many people had just become Meta Knight players. So
Yep.
then if you ban their character, like they don't want to come to a competition because they got to learn a new character and they're not going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's no knock against the players. Like anybody that played Bayonetta should have played Bayonetta. There was the hands down the best character in that game. Um, Same thing with Meta Knight. And I do. Here we go. This is the hot takes part, and I do unfortunately think it is a relatively similar spot with Steve. This isn't based on like one interaction, because I've been saying you can have some of the people that I've talked to about this. I've been saying this for months that
You have,
Steve,
yeah.
that Steve is not good. Yeah, I have talked to you about this. I think Steve's in a spot where this is probably the best time to actually issue a ban if we were to. Um, because you're going to get to a point where people are playing it, right? And it's not going to be able to ban it, and it's not reasonable to do so. Do I think there's a lot of counterplay that can be developed? Yeah, of course. I mean, like I play Donkey Kong and Smash 4. You're going to be able to kill Bayonetta relatively early, but ultimately, I think when it comes down to like polarization of meta and the game itself, it's not necessarily healthy for where Steve is at. If I would love if we were able to strong arm Nintendo for more patches. Like that would be the best situation. I don't unfortunately see though with how modding works in this community, right? With it's really hard to get switches to mod it. I don't see a fix like that working out. I know some people try to push that out. It's just not going to happen. UCF was really good for Melee, but even then, when you try to get, we kind of contend with a lot of Nintendo sponsorships. The second we start trying to mess with Nintendo products, they get very, very unhappy.
Oh yeah, that's like very dangerous territory.
Yes,
for sure.
100%. And so any sort of changes on our end, community fixes are just not going to be able to be widespreadly accepted. Um, I don't know.
That's why I don't think he's gonna get banned, right? Is
No,
because
he's not.
you could ban him in local scenes, but then like, and I know some people contest with this mentality, but like if you're a player that wants to take your skills to the highest level, you need to be prepared for all those turbulent circumstances, even if like, you know, yeah. So banning a character in a local scene just reduces your ability to play them, get better at them. So the change kind of needs to more or less come from a national level, but I mean, Panda Cup, for instance, isn't going to do anything about it because they're working with Nintendo.
Yep.
They want to keep the game like vanilla. Which I get. And Smash World Tour, I mean, they're probably not going to make Gamer's probably not going to make any kind of rash moves without like exhausting further options, which means you're probably not looking at anything till like 2024. You know what I mean? If you do see anything.
Yeah, it's
So
like a catch-22. Like if you ban him at the local level, then you have the national problem. If you ban him at the national level, then the locals are just not going to try to attend it because why would I go to these majors if I can just play my character at my local scene? So we might have already hit the point of no return. Honestly, I don't actually foresee a Steve ban being widely accepted besides Iowa. Shout out to Is It being a troll. Like I don't see a unilateral Steve ban actually happening. We as a community too disjointed. Dude, I can't even get a stage list through. There's no way to get a
That's
stage
what we
list
talk
through.
about. Like,
Like
people, we haven't agreed on a stageless once in 5 years. So
no, it's
like,
Not
Getting
gonna
a
happen.
unified front on a character ban is impossible. It feels like for sure.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen. I want it. I think it'd be healthier for the space. I think it'd be healthier for the meta. But you know, I could say that all I want until people like Cagged start doing these big bans at major events and then start having these conversations. Then it'll happen. But otherwise, it won't. Um, so it's not. It's almost not even worth talking about. I feel, especially on Twitter. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but what the old heads are saying is right. Like I always listen to the people that have been through this same sort of situation before. Nintendo has a tendency to mess up their games pretty badly, with final balance patches
A
and not
party game.
fixing their issues. Yeah, it's a party game.
Well,
Uh,
also as a quick detour too, it's like all of Fighters Pass 2 pretty much came out during quarantine, so there's
Yep.
like a whole gap where they would usually rely on like playtesting and stuff like that, and like I mean I don't know if they look at offline events, but I mean all of Fighters Pass 2 is kind of broken, and it also came out at a time where there wasn't really like a lot of a lot of playtesting that could occur at like a local level too. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I can say that I know Nintendo is wanting to work more in the space, obviously, to a capacity, but I just don't see them wanting to support esports in general. They just don't seem to want to push with esports or like want to be associated with it. Which as somebody who's in esports is very disheartening to hear. But that's just kind of what we're working with. So
yeah.
I think the community is going to be taking. This isn't like a death kneel or anything like that. The Smash 4 community was still an existing community that had a lot of people playing in it. You did know everybody, but it was a smaller community. But even with Bayo existing, it still survived. Ultimate's going to be surviving for years. It just might be a completely different space years down the line. So I mean, that's just how it'd be.
All
I'll
right,
be
Grayson, do you want to dip?
Yeah, I got a dip.
Okay.
Speaking of Onan, I got a meeting him and a
He's clicking up the
potential
Ooh.
money.
potential sponsor.
Oh
So
wow. Oh
yeah,
Just
wow.
just be
You heard it
like,
here first, folks.
I just got off the phone. Confirmed. Or Steve is not getting banned, so you can
Yep.
send us as much money as you want.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna mess with your guys' windows, but
Yeah.
Booker, it was good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good to be on the
Booker,
show,
don't go
guys.
anywhere. We'll do like
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got you.
a
I'm just
DLC 10 minutes or something.
yeah, awesome. All right, see you, chat.
All right. Okay, I gotta readjust the webcam real quick here. Yeah, just the corner of your face. So let's see if I can do this pretty quick here. So Booker, do you have anything else did you want to talk about with the tourney, or did you get to say your piece? You feel like? Oh, hold on. The people say they can't hear you here. One sec. I must have added. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's me. I gotta add one of the audio sources to this. Okay, go ahead and talk.
Oh, hello. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
there you go. Yeah.
Shout outs? Okay. Yeah, I was
Thank
talking
you,
about
everybody.
Yeds. Yeds is still Midwest. Midwest is his heart. We still love you, Yeds. Fantastic run. A little bit lackluster overall when it comes to top 32 at this event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, we glanced over him. Did he? I forgot to look him up before the stream. I was paying attention to doorstop specifically because I drafted him fantasy league, and he like placed his seed, and I was so disappointed. I didn't even look up for non. We can't hear Booker again. Oh no, I did it. I was undoing a webcam change, and I got rid of your audio. Okay,
Oh no,
it's
we're
good. It's
back.
good. It's good. It's good.
We're good. Here I am.
Okay.
Here I am. Yeah, overall, it's interesting. So I wanted to talk. I was going to tweet about this at one point. We have 4 main representatives and 5. I mean, like, I love Toast. Toast is kind of one of those like Midwest heart. I think he's done with school though now, so he's gonna be North Carolina for the most part. You can correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Um, but it's like AK and Skittles, Palakage and Skittles from Heartland, and then it's like Ned and Aiken, at least from the PG, the PGRU. I think that's what they call it. Um, those are like the big representatives that have like put themselves out there. Onan, of course, now, right? Like Onan's like really big, but there's only a handful of people that are at this super high level in the Midwest. I think that there's a lot of potential with it. There's always been a lot of potential, but it really is comes down to the grinding and the local scene investment. And I kind of want to touch on that one. Local scene investment is how you make top players. People don't talk about this a lot. I know that some people talk about how like SoCal top players don't really invest in their local scene. Um, and I know what Tweak lived in Ohio for a while, didn't really come out to the events. Oklahoma had ESAM and MVD way back in the day, didn't really attend their local events. And I think to a point, they're incentivized to. Why would I do that instead of streaming, right? You see Ned not come out to his locals because of that. But I think investing into your local community and having a very strong, robust, lower level player network is how you create these top players. And I like to see places like Chicago, Michigan now, Ohio really putting a lot of time and effort into creating more cohesive structures for their players to come out, right? Better availability of events, more up and coming TOs doing like monthlies and regionals, right? Getting these tournaments, not scheduling on each other. God forbid, Midwest scheduling on each other never happens. Never happens at all.
I can say as one of the like guys that does most of the regionals for Michigan stuff. We definitely have made like a more concentrated effort to be like, okay, we want to make sure this event doesn't overlap with like Ann Arbor wants to run an event. Let's try not to run over his event, even though we've done that a couple times by accident. But you know, like we try to make sure like so the West guys have like the West scene in general has gotten way better in Michigan. So like now we actually acknowledge them and go out to their tournaments and stuff, and the whole scene has like seen improvement because of it.
No, and that's just where it comes from. I love to see. I clown on. I say I dog. I dog on Chicago a lot. Because of just kind of the way that historically they've been. But it's fantastic to see them travel because they're so good and they help a lot of scenes get better. And I think the same for places like Michigan, the same for places like Ohio. So I want to see more of these tournaments pop up that we travel to, a lot of regional, because once we start traveling throughout the Midwest a bit more, we're going to be seeing a huge uptick in skill level, right? The only reason that these players are like the scene itself is getting better is because these top players are going to everything. Paulo Kage and Skittles, they've just gone to everything, right? We see Ned traveling down to Kansas City for like the first time. Like that's awesome to see. Iken's going out there and challenging people. Onan going out again, so it's really cool to see, and I really want to see more of that. I'm gonna change the topic for just a second because I wrote this down and forgot to mention it. So not technically Heartland, depending on who you talk to. Oklahoma, though, SmashCon is the first time that Zurge, I'm not sure if you know him, but Zurge has made an appearance. It is the old Oklahoma number 1. I'll put it with air quotes because MVD and ESAM were rated above him, but they like didn't attend events all that often. This is the first time he's been to an event in 2 years. Like it's been a long time, and he showed up to SmashCon, and he was ranked pretty highly. Didn't do like super well, but I'm hoping to see the return of him. But this is kind of like this is a thing where I don't know. There's a whole forgotten generation of players that were making really big waves, or like were on the uptick right before quarantine. That are just gone now. And I don't know if I can't remember how long you've been in the community, KJs. I know we've talked beforehand, but
I actually am like the post quarantine guy for our region.
Okay.
But I definitely know I was an attendee I wasn't a TO before, but I was an attendee before COVID, and I definitely know like our main weekly that Ori was running was getting like 70 to 100 depending on the week, and like none of our weeklies hit that anymore. Like the whole scene is in general has just gone down a little, you know.
Yeah, it is.
So I definitely know what you're talking about. Like some of the guys that used to be real grinders, like just fell off the game in those 2 years or whatever. So
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. I've seen, I mean, I have books of names of people that just aren't around anymore, and it's really unfortunate because there was this, what I think I canceled 5 events when COVID happened, right? When quarantine came into effect, and like there's this huge amount of player base that just like disappeared overnight. It was replaced to an extent by the quarantine group,
mm,
but people like Zurge being out there is good because we still know that they want to like come back to the scene, or like there is still a place for them here.
they still
Um,
have some interest at least.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just makes me sad. I think that's the big thing. I think the whole COVID situation in quarantine just like makes me sad for the Smash community because like
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where we could have been with so much time offline. I wonder what storylines could have been created. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
definitely thinking about that will definitely send you down a rabbit hole. So,
it's true. It's true.
yeah.
But yeah, overall, sorry. SmashCon, it was fantastic. Fantastic to see it. Love to see where the Midwest guys are going to go next.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have any other events on your timeline? You gonna go out to
Oh,
stuff?
you know, we forget to do this every time. I have an ad for a tournament coming up. Just a
Oh,
second.
there you go.
And
I
your audio
segued.
might not be on it, so I'm just gonna talk for a second here. All right, if you are near Michigan, or obviously in Michigan, I will be running Get Cooked 2. It is a charity event. Come out to it. It is in Lansing, Michigan. We got about 100 people last time. There's food at the venue that goes towards the charity. It is super good. Like the theme is, or well, not the theme, but the charity is for startup kitchens, and the people that are there make incredible food. Definitely worth checking out. And the stream setup is like in a private little area. You get to go up some stairs and like you're in an exclusive area where you're playing your matches. All the people really liked that last time. So you should definitely come out to Get Cooked 2. It's going to be a fun time. Lansing, Michigan, September 24th. It's also right between Riptide and the Big House, so you can keep hot between the two tournaments. All right, we're back. Thank you for
Hell
reminding
yeah.
me. I was supposed
No,
to do
no, I
that
got
in the
you.
middle of the show at some point, but we always just start talking, and I never want to interrupt the flow, and then I just forget about it, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get you, man. That's
Uh,
go support them. We'd love to see more of these younger TOs that are able to put on these event series. That's awesome to see. Go out
yeah,
and
we
put a
got
good
a couple people from Ohio and the like Fort Wayne,
Fort Wayne.
Indiana. Yeah. We
Yeah.
got some Fort Wayne guys to come out. So it was pretty cool last time. Hopefully some people show up this time.
Well, I mean, you got housing. I'll bring a Casey car.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, why
If
not?
I got housing?
You gotta get yeah, you gotta get us housed.
Okay, by housing is it like if I let you sleep on my brother's floor, is that okay?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. I'm going to talk to him about it.
All right, perfect.
He lives like 3 blocks away from the venue too, so you could like literally park at the venue and walk there. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll talk to some KC guys. That'd be really cool. I want to go out to Michigan a bit more. The timing might be a little rough, so I'll float it to them though.
Yeah. Obviously, it's like what 9 hours from your area or something.
Something like that. If I wasn't going to Riptide, it might be more of a sure-in, but
Uh huh. Yeah. It's
traveling
definitely
so
gonna be
much.
tough. Yeah. Traveling so much in that amount of time, I definitely get that. But do you have anything coming up? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, you should go to Rise and Grind. Rise and Grind is like the I don't know. There's a lot of we throw the word grassroots around a lot. Um, it is the most grassroots tournament though that I think like the major that's been put up in a long time.
Hmm.
Um, so I would really go to support them. That is just Cagged and Crayola just put all that on their backs. That be just gonna be a fantastic event. I'll be there working floor staff. They brought on some fantastic guys to do it, so I'm proud to be working there. I'll be at Riptide for sure. Run Don't Walk in Iowa. I'll be on top 8 commentary for that. I'm actually, this is a funny thing. I was telling you about my Smash stuff. During quarantine, I got into production management and casting in Rainbow Six Siege. I now run production management for like collegiate leagues, but I've been pushing into casting for Ultimate. So
Yeah, I think I watched you. You did. I can't remember what block, but you did some of Invincible, and I watched your.
I did top 8. I did top 8 for Invincible.
Commentary,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll be doing top 8 for Run Don't Walk, or hopefully. I guess not 100% confirmed.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to get on that commentary grind a bit more. My boy, myself, and Treasure. And Riptide, and then I might take a little bit of a break. I've been traveling a lot. I moved to KC 3 months ago, and in that time, I've been to Cost, Warp Zone, Invincible, and it's just a lot of driving. It's
Yeah.
like-
You've been a road dog for sure. See, you were talking about being old, but like, I've got like a 9 to 5 normal person job, so going to like a weekend event for me is like a big thing. Like, I'd have to
Yeah.
prepare weeks in advance. I gotta let my partner know. I gotta like do stuff around the house so that way it doesn't fall apart while I'm gone for 2 days. So. So I
Yeah,
don't get out nearly as much as much as I would like to, but that's fine.
Yeah, it helps when you like work in esports, so like there's more incentive or like more of a reason to go out there. Like I could tell my job, hey, because I work at Generation Esports now, and I can be like, hey guys, I'm gonna go to this event, because then I can be like, hey, I'm gonna help plug the company there,
Yeah,
X,
you're
Y, and Z,
marketing.
right?
You're marketing.
Yeah, I mean there's a level up to that. They're less likely to decline my PTO at least, but
Yeah, for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
I still love putting on events. I got some stuff working in the works. I think I'm planning. Oh, I think it's 5 events right now. I got 5 events that I'm working
Dang.
on, in varying degrees of being able to push out. But there will be event announcements at some point soon here. I want to do some more KC stuff. Some of the events that I was working on previously still on board for, so you'll be seeing return of those. Another iteration of Honeypot, I'm sure. Fingers crossed. And yeah, I could say hot takes. Isn't that the next thing?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I don't want to keep this going all night, even though it's been having a really fun talking to you. But the one thing we've been asking our last couple of guests, right towards the end here, do you have a hot take you want to put on the microphone?
Yeah, here I got you. I got my hot take.
All right, the floor is open.
Scholastic is the future of Smash, competitive Smash especially. And anybody that is not investing in the Scholastic space is wasting their time. Full stop. There is so much that can be done with resources. What's the biggest thing that the Smash community hasn't had? It's resources.
Yeah, venues.
We have no money.
Mainly, yeah.
Yeah, we have no venues. We have no money. We have we're broke and dirty and all that sort of stuff. Being able to have access to that's so important. And where most Smash communities has developed in the history of Smash has been college campuses, right? It's really been around which college campuses are having where the biggest collection of like college kids in general.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like
I mean this is like a lost meme on the world now, but like before like the Smash doc and now like everything is like more readily available. A lot of people got into Melee and like Smash 64 from like being at a dorm and one dude is just like, "Hey, let's play Smash." And then you go over there and that dude whoops your ass and you're like, "I got to beat him next week." So you come back and you get better and then you like that's where your competition starts. Like that used to be how a lot of people found out about the scene. Yep. Obviously that's like, 2011 era, like when way back when I was a kid.
I remember seeing like the road docs, like Mother and Father. Those were like some Virginia. I think they're East Coast players that traveled all over and did like docs. That's like OOG when Show Me Your Moves, the oldest running Smash tournament period. Or not Show Me Your Moves. Yeah, Show Me Your Moves. Yeah, the oldest running Smash tournament. That was founded in Champaign. Like these guys, like it's all college campuses.
Yeah.
And so like moving into the college scene is where we're going to be existing. People kind of like meme on college. I think like esports in general kind of meme on like the collegiate space. But they have money and they have venues.
No,
right?
I definitely
they have
agree.
so much.
And shout outs to EMU if you're not free this weekend. Summer of Love #2 happening this weekend at EMU, Eastern Michigan University. But But I went to Eastern Michigan University Summer of Love #1, and they were running it in this ballroom, and it was like $10 venue fee. They had 40 monitors provided by the school, and they had 2 streams provided by the school, and the venue was free for the TO. Like, I was talking to the TO, he got it for free, and I was like, I could never. Like, there,
I know.
he had, the room was like a 500 cap, and like that would be like thousands of dollars for me for all of that equipment, all of the like that level of a room and stuff. And I was like, wow, like why am I even trying to run monthlies when this guy could be just like getting this ballroom every month and running something big for all of us, you know?
I have paid probably for like 3 venues max, and that might be 2 more. Like, I've been TOing for X amount of years now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was running a nonprofit for a while, so like people are a lot more willing to work with you.
Yeah,
But beyond that,
that's
it's been
what
like,
this. That's what this like Get Cooked event is. It's
oh, I
like,
see.
yeah, it's at a nonprofit, so like they get a certain amount of it, and then I cover my costs with the other part of it. So
No, that's perfect.
It works out.
That's the way to do it. I mean,
yeah.
that's. But the other thing that I worked with a lot of colleges to get their scenes going, or just like working with the college itself to get people on campus. Working with convention and visitors bureaus, that's a really good way to get venues and to get grants, and to just because you're providing a really good service for tourism to areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like I barely paid for venues, and the best way to do it is to just go through universities. Like, you do not understand how well it's going to be. The next few years of Smash is going to be amazing. It's all going to be Scholastic focused. So get involved in Scholastic Smash like now. Like, that is the best place to it. And my second hot take, this is funny. Jumping on that, universities and like athletics in general want they want more bang for your buck when it comes to competitions. And I think that with that in mind, the way that competitions are going to be pushed, Scholastic events already are almost like, if they're ran by Scholastic organizations, you look at EGF, you look at CNC, all these other like big events, basically none of them are doing just like straight DE, double elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Round robin's the future, baby. That's just how it
Oh
is.
yeah, this is the one that you wanted to come on
There you
for.
go.
Yeah,
There you go.
So
I'll touch it at the end. I didn't want to like take up everything with it, but that is
No,
something I
go
want to
ahead.
talk
Tell me
about.
about the round robin idea.
Oh gosh. I mean, like, just like round robin in general, like that is going to be the I've tweeted about this, but it's going to be the bracketing formatting in the future. Ultimately, it is way better for player retention. It's way better for player experience and competitive integrity of bracketing. Some people disagree with me, of course, but it is also the best sell for Scholastic. If I want to be able to know who my student is facing on a week-to-week basis, and to play in the course of like a season, round robin pools as a seasonal format going into a playoffs DE is like so appealing. And so I think that as we move into the Scholastic space more and more, we're going to be seeing a lot less of this. And this has already been or a lot less of straight DE. This is already being done in the Scholastic space. Places like NECC just picked up Smash, so they're going to be running that. That's a big national collegiate league. NJC, the new junior college, they've been running 300-person Smash ultimate seasons, and they've already been doing round robin pools with it. I'm actually having to convince people to run DE because everybody just wants to run single elimination. You do not know how much work I've been doing to try to make sure that the double elimination happens, at least in playoffs.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's just like.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
It's like it's just way better, especially for like high schoolers. I've talked to high schoolers that won't even go to locals. They exist out there because all their high school events are already round robin. So I think it's the Smash community at some point will realize that. I've had these conversations with every single level of TOs that you can imagine about it, but I'm very big on player experience and player retention, and making sure that we run the best events possible. And you just can't do that with DE. That's just the facts.
Let me ask you, do you think, like, when you say that, are you advocating for round robins even at like a major level, or are you just saying
100%.
like locals and
100%.
Okay.
Oh yeah, all unilateral. Actually, the reason I run round robin is because of Smash and Splash. OG Smash and Splash. You said you went to the last one, but OG Smash Splash was running round robin pools. They weren't doing it correctly, but
I did 1 year where they did round robin, and then I went 2 years where they had the Swiss pools.
Yep. Or they only did the last time. Swiss.
Okay, yeah. Then I did one of each. I think. Yeah.
But it gets a bad rep because people run it poorly. Because it's not easy to learn how to run immediately. And I've talked to TOs about this beforehand. I think it just takes a lot more effort, and people don't want to put in as much effort. So
I definitely, in my experience, because like when we have lower turnout, I'll do round robin brackets for my events, and in my experience, the biggest thing is like setups for sure. Like a round robin, in my opinion, takes way more setups to run efficiently. Ideally, you would have everybody in the pool able to play at the same time. But obviously, like it's not like a game, a game breaker if
oh
that's
yeah,
like the case. So
yeah, it's a science. Honestly, when it comes to it, there's a little bit of art flourishing, but it's a you know I it takes time to get a community into it. But when the community is acknowledges that if they want the bracket to run better, they got to bring setups. You see a lot more investment to actually bringing them, right?
yeah,
So that's what a lot of these smaller communities that I pushed for running around robin, especially in my in the GRV, we saw very high tick in setups being brought because ultimately people want to get through their games a little bit quicker. So what's better incentive than to you get a setup discount and you get to play more games? So
yeah, exactly. That's what
it
I always tell people. Like I always tell people, if you want to make sure you can play friendlies, you have to bring a setup
yep.
because I'm not gonna feel bad for you if you complain that you're sitting around and you didn't bring a setup. Because hey, I got to get the bracket done before midnight. That's my only goal. Well, not my only goal, but that's the goal number one.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I have a lot of takes to it. You should bring me back. I won't
Yeah,
say
yeah.
everything
I
right now
mean,
to
we're
see it
doing
more
a DLC round. We're doing a
incentivized.
DLC round already, and I can tell we got to bring you back for another episode. But one more pushback on the round robin
Hit
thing
me.
that
Do it.
that I hear when I run these is like top players are like, why do I have to play so many like BS matches? Because they'll
Oh,
just like run over like 5 people in their pool of 8
yeah.
or whatever. And then, like, when they would have only had to play 1 or 2 of those sets in a double elimination.
Yeah, they say that all the time. The biggest detractors for round robin are going to be the top players. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
stand the most to lose at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're being tested more times than they would in a normal bracket, basically.
yeah, I think that if you're going to be running round robin, you have to acknowledge that running the bracket as efficiently as possible is the best way to make sure the top players have the best experience because there's a trade-off. There's a contract that you're making with the players where you say, I'm going to make you play more matches, but I'm going to make sure that this bracket run is ran well. And so if you see any criticisms about my events when it comes with round robin, especially from my biggest detractors, they will definitely say that regardless of anything else, the events run on time. We'll run 200-person round robin tournament, be out by 11 p.m. on one day. Um, you have to be efficient. And so if you are not providing a good product as an event, you're going to make these top players unhappy.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to like make them unhappy. Ultimately, I mean, like I want them to come out to these events. It's important that they are still getting it. But if they're going to be sitting here playing for X amount of money, they need to make sure that they earn it. And it is my job to provide the best service as possible, the best product to as many players as possible. And so if they have to play a few more matches, I don't care that they complain. That's ultimately this is what I'll say. And I say this to the other TOs. Um, your top player will still come to your event. That's just the fact because they're not there to play games. They're there to win and to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and to have good competition. Right? Ultimately, that's what they want to be there for. Um, if you are still providing that to them, they're still going to attend. They might grumble because they have to play a few more matches, but your O2 or your 1-2 or your low level players, they're not going to come if it's just not worth the money investment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's regardless of anything else, they're not going to make money off of it. They're not going to do X, Y, or Z. They're there for to hopefully get better, but they're there for their friends. They're there for playing in general. So I I want to make sure that those players are more incentivized to come out because I know the top players are going to come out. I will show you dozens of events that I've ran where top players complain, but they'll still come out to the tournament because it's a good product and they have a good time and they walk away with a lot of money. That's that's just got to be
Yeah.
how it
I
is.
like I don't know if you saw the like warp zone, like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
the tiered amateur brackets. We stole that idea for Black Diamond, the most recent event that I ran, and I think that's like a pretty good like staple for a double elimination to like make sure that people like after they get eliminated, at least like they get put into these the tiered amateur brackets where they're like playing against people where they have a realistic chance of winning, and also people that like I don't know if you've been in scenes that have this problem, but some of our top players just kind of don't want to interact with the lower level players. So
Everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. And so like I think having like the tiered amateur brackets gives you like you can play friendlies with people that will like definitely want to play more friendlies with you after the amateur bracket's over, and you would get to interact with them a little more, you know.
Bring me back because I'll have a whole thing where I could talk about brackets because I got a lot to say about that.
Okay, we're gonna have a brackets episode.
Yeah, we'll have a brackets episode. I will say that anything that's more than double elimination is good for the scene. Full stop.
Yeah, for sure.
I will criticize whatever, but it is healthier to just not do straight double elimination than it is to do double elimination. So any bracket format, the Warpstone bracket, it might not be my most favorite because I think it's a half measure for ultimately, and I've talked to you GS guys about this. It's still really good though. You should still run that. If you are having problems with trying to like do round robin, that's the best reason, the best in between. Because straight double elimination brackets, regardless of your thoughts on it, are a dying form. People do not want to play them. They're not a good product.
Like you said, it's not enough value for people that are going to go O2. Yep. They come to a bracket, maybe like if it's a big Saturday event, they get to play doubles and then they play 2 matches and singles and they paid $45 to be there, you know?
Yeah,
and
for better or for worse, we are entrepreneurs as TOs, right? We're entrepreneurs that don't make any money, but we are creating a product, and our product should be trying to appeal to the most amount of people. If you want a successful, a successful product, something that's going to be making income or being good for the community, right? It's going to come down to the people are enjoying it and people are partaking in it and want to pay for it. And most tours will not pay, and it's not their fault. They won't pay for a bracket because it's not worth it. It honestly isn't. I mean, this is a funny thing that you look at majors. SmashCon gets a lot of people to come out to it because SmashCon has a lot to offer, but most majors aren't worth going to. I think most Smash events aren't actually worth going to because they're bad products. But that's a conversation for another day. I won't get too much into it.
Let's wrap it up. I'm having a ton of fun talking to you. Honestly,
we'll
this
talk
could go
about
on
this
for
later.
hours. But let's wrap it up here, Booker. It was really fun to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it was great. You basically talked the whole time, and we didn't get anybody to call in with any hot takes. You don't have any haters that showed up to tell you you're awful or anything, apparently. So that's nice.
Yeah, most of them just block me on Twitter, so it's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. Anything you want to say to the people?
Yeah, do you want to follow me on Twitter, by the way? At RealChaseDoIt. Would love to have you come on. I tweet a lot about Smash, Collegiate, and esports in general. And come see me at Rise and Grind. It's gonna be a really good time and I'm gonna enjoy it. But thank you so much, KJs. You have been fantastic as a host.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That has been Great Lakes Hot Takes episode 4. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And we'll be back next week. We don't have a guest or a theme or anything lined up yet, but we will be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m., same Twitch channel. All right, bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.